Ja, schönen guten Morgen, meine Damen
Right.
und Herren.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Digitale
Let me welcome you to the panel.
Plattformen
Digital platforms as game changers for future business and collaboration models. My name is Klaas Berlin. I am working for the automotive IT. I work there as an editor, and I would like to welcome you, and I'm glad to be here
Ja,
today.
sehr verehrte Damen und Herren,
Ladies and
alle reden
gentlemen,
darüber.
everybody's talking about it.
Plattformökonomie.
Platform
Was genau
economy.
verstehen wir
But
darunter?
what does that
Schauen wir
mean,
uns
actually?
die großen,
Let's have a look
weltweit
at the
erfolgreichen
large-scale
Unternehmen
companies
an.
that are
Eines
very
deutlich.
successful, and
Viele operieren
it's
über
getting clear.
Internetplattformen.
Many use
Nehmen wir als
internet
Beispiel
platforms.
Google,
For example,
Amazon
Google,
oder
Amazon, Alibaba.
Und wenn immer mehr Unternehmen in Richtung
If the number
Plattformen
is
gehen
increasing,
und diese
the number of
aktiv
companies
betreiben,
that use these
geschieht
platforms
das nicht
and
unbedingt
operate on
aus dem
them,
Grund, dass
this
eine
is not
Begeisterung
happening
für
by
neue
accident,
Geschäftsmodelle
or it's not
entstanden
based
ist,
on a
sondern
mere
oft unter disruptiven Druck. Und diesen disruptiven Druck
fantasy about this. It's about a pressure, and it's a pressure that is felt by everybody. And platform economy is a vital part of this. We see that the speed is increasing.
Nicht mehr nur die reine Fertigung
But it's not
von
about the
Komponenten
mere
und
production of
Fahrzeugen
component and
das
vehicles,
Kernthema
the
der
core
Autobranche,
topic of car
sondern es
makers.
entstehen viele Dienste
Many
rund um
new
Vernetzung,
types of services,
Elektromobilität,
interconnectivity,
autonomes Fahren,
electric
digitale
vehicles,
Produktion,
automotive
die
driving,
sich über neue
electrical
digitale
production
Ökosysteme
that are
abbilden lassen.
also being covered by
Und
digital
mittlerweile gibt es
system.
auch in vielen Branchen
And in many
Unternehmen,
different
die
industries,
mehr
there are
Umsatz und
companies
Gewinn
that
über
grow
Plattformen
revenues,
generieren, als
that
mit
have
ihren
more
traditionellen
revenues with
Maschinen,
new platforms
Geräten
in
oder
comparison to what they
Warenservices.
used to
Und
have
das
with
ist
their
auch genau der
products.
Weg, in
So
den die
this is
Autobranche
the exact
zukünftig
route that the
gehen
car
wird.
making industry
Dabei kann man
will
sagen, dass
be
die
heading
Daten der
towards.
Kraftstoff
So
sind,
a
der neue
data
Services
is the
und
new resource for new
Innovation
services and
ermöglicht.
innovation.
Und genau an dieser Stelle
And this
sitzen
is
die
exactly
OEMs und
where
Zulieferer, eigentlich kann
OEMs
man sagen,
and
an einer sprudelnden
suppliers
Quelle, aus der sie
are
noch
sitting at
exklusiv
a
schöpfen können.
source that is
Und
very valuable.
diese Daten ermöglichen
These data
gutes
will enable
Startkapital,
a
mit
great
dem sich neue
initial start
Geschäftsmodelle
capital for
aufbauen
new
lassen
business
und
models.
Innovation
Innovation can be
ermöglicht werden.
spurred with them.
Und dafür wurden in der Vergangenheit bereits auch viele Burggräben abgebaut, die
And of course, we have
Automobilhersteller
paved the way in the past to create new
Motto
businesses,
könnte man
because the
sagen,
new slogan
lautet,
could be,
gemeinsam
so
statt
to say,
einsam.
together instead of alone.
Standardisierte Informations-
So
und
standardized data
Datenverfügbarkeiten sollen
collection
Automobilhersteller
and
und
availability
Zulieferer
should
neue
be something
Wettbewerbsfähigkeit
to
ermöglichen,
increase
die
competitiveness
effizient
among
in
car
der
makers and suppliers,
industriespezifischen Zusammenarbeit
especially in a
scheitern, sowie
industry-specific collaboration,
flächendeckend
and
beschleunigen.
processes in companies should be
Und diese
rendered more
konzentrierten
efficient.
Datenketten sollen künftig
So
auch
with data
den Wildwuchs
chains,
an verschiedenen
these
Systemen
will
und
help us
Insellösungen, die heute noch
to
bestehen,
get rid of
beenden.
insular solutions.
Ja, meine Damen und Herren, in der Presse ist jetzt häufig
Now,
was
the
von
media
neuen
talks about this a lot.
Cloud- und
Cloud,
Datenplattformen zu
data
lesen,
platforms,
sei
for
es Gaia
example,
X,
Gaia X,
oder
Catena
die
X,
Industrial Cloud.
or industrial
Doch ein
cloud,
neues
just to name a
Mindset
few
ist nicht
buzzwords. But the
nur
new
in
mindset
Sachen
is not only
Technologie
connected
und
to
Zusammenarbeit
technology
gefragt,
and collaboration,
auch die Mitarbeiter müssen
but
auf
also
dieser Reise
staff
mitgenommen
need
werden.
to be part of this
Agilität
journey.
und
Agility,
Innovationskraft sind dabei
innovation,
zwei der entscheidenden
strength, those
Faktoren.
are just
Ich würde
two
sagen,
important
keine
factors in
triviale
this regard.
Aufgabe
It's
für
not a
die
trivial task
Autoindustrie.
for car
Und
makers.
deswegen möchten wir in
So
diesem
for this
Panel
reason,
der Frage
we are here
nachgehen,
today at this panel
welche Chancen
wondering
und
what opportunities
Herausforderungen
and
sich durch
challenges
neue
lie ahead
Netzwerke
with
ergeben.
new data
Ist die Branche
networks.
hinreichend auf
Is
die
the
digitale
industry
Zukunft
prepared
vorbereitet?
for the digital
Und
future?
wo geht die Reise der
And where are we
Plattformen
heading
schlussendlich
towards
hin?
with the
Und
new
ich freue mich, dass
platforms?
ich das hier nicht
And I
alleine
am
machen
delighted
muss,
to
sondern einen
have
erlesenen Kreis an Automobilexperten
automotive experts
bei
with
mir
me to
habe.
talk
Ich
about this
darf
topic.
an meiner linken Seite zuerst
On my left-hand
Florian
side, I have
Bankolei aus dem
Florian
Hause-
Bankolei
Hause Bosch
from
begrüßen. Dann
Bosch.
begrüße ich
I
Ralf
also
Hofmann
welcome
von
Ralf
MHP,
Hofmann,
Matthias Ulrich
MHP,
von der Porsche
Matthias
AG
Ulrich
und
from
uns
Porsche,
zugeschaltet aus dem
and also
schönen
remotely
Friedrichshafen am
from
Bodensee
Ludwig
ist
Friedrichshafen
Dr.
at the Lake
Jürgen
of
Sturm
Constance,
von
Dr.
ZF.
Jürgen Sturm
Schön, dass Sie alle bei uns sind
from
und
ZF,
hallo in die Runde.
ZF. Hello, everybody.
Schönen guten Tag.
Hello.
Ja, meine Damen und Herren, die erste Frage.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my first question is for Ralf Hofmann.
Schon ein bisschen so angerissen,
So
dass,
I mentioned this already.
Mitarbeiter auch auf
Staff
die
need to be
digitale Weise
part of the
mitgenommen werden
digital
müssen.
journey.
Nun hat sich gezeigt, dass in der
Now,
Corona-Pandemie
we learned that during a corona pandemic, there is a lack of skilled staff members, but still, I think it might recover in the future, and new staff will be searched. So, how does a consulting company like MHP conduct this? How can a company like you take staff members on this digital trip? Well, I must say the pandemic has exerted some pressure, of course. And the pressure is still ahead. This is at least my conception. Maybe this is different for companies. So there is still a lot of pressure, and I mentioned this earlier. And digitization is concerning all companies. Every company does have software, not only a department, but maybe a subsidiary. Why is that? Because many companies use software nowadays. And for this reason, we need skilled members that are joining hands and fostering digitization. Of course, we as MHP, we work a lot with software, so this is our core business. So our staff members, we don't have to take them with us, they take others with them on a digital trip, namely our customers. And now, talking about customers, there are different types of customers. So from my point of view, I might say that staff, and or maybe this is also has to do with the generation. I'm part of this certain generation, so I might say that.
Aber natürlich, ja. Ich meine, wenn immer mehr jetzt in dieses Thema Digitalisierung
of course, digitization
herangeführt, ja, und deshalb
is entering our lives, and change management was incredible during the pandemic. So people, so my auntie is buying, is 80 years old and buys stuff with Amazon. Thanks to the pandemic. That's exactly this type of game changer that we're talking about, collaboration with the respective pools. It's a given now. So I'm part of digitization. I am digital things are a vital part of my life. I use them a lot, but still, I have changed as well. Let me name a few examples.
Im geschäftlichen Bereich jemanden kennengelernt.
I got to know a person in a business context, and we were at the phone. And I told him, well, let's just meet in person. Let's have a Teams session. So I never had the idea to just go to this place. So 15 months earlier, I wouldn't have thought like that. So talking about staff again, of course, we are lacking skilled workers, not only in the IT sector. Especially here at this very location, it's a huge problem.
Ich weiß nicht, wenn man das nicht in den Griff kriegt.
And we have to deal with this. Otherwise, I don't know how the future will unfold. That's just my humble opinion. Now, there is one important aspect in my view. It's not only about the skilled know-how in terms of IT, but it's also about applying them. So transmitting knowledge to practice. And you mentioned this in your keynote. We have technical opportunities, and we have to shift them and use them to optimize situations, to optimize customer experience, and to combine these two competence fields. And I think this will bring about great change. I don't think it's not only a technical opportunity, it's a human challenge. A human challenge. Are we able to overcome this challenge can we transform the industrial world into a hybrid world that includes software? And I think the lack of skilled workers or the lack of know-how has increased, especially those who said earlier, let's do not digitize our company. You just have to be part of this movement nowadays. So the pool of skilled workers has increased, in our opinion, in our perception at least.
Thematik zählt auch meine nächste Frage ein.
Also my next question is for you, Mr. Bankelei. So traditional industrial companies, if they develop into software companies, what is important in this regard? What needs to change in terms of mindset? A lot.
in der Zeit, was man gesehen hat, ist,
I think especially we learned that there is no, it's not a question of technology and methodology. It's about the type of how we work.
es gibt kein Gut oder
So there's no good and bad or old and new, but it's a coexistence that we need to create.
verhindern, dass wir so stark polarisieren.
We mustn't polarize too much. And it's a great challenge for companies like ours. We have a long history, we are large, we have established processes, established types of behavior.
Das behalten wir auch bei.
And now we need to see what can we keep, what is good, but maybe we have to add things to that. We need to change our behavior, we need to adapt to the new experiences, to new challenges. And we need to acknowledge, for example, that we as leaders in a mechanical world cannot provide all solutions nowadays, and we don't even have to do that. We need to trust in teams that they are able to find a solution, and we need to support them to find a solution. And that's just one type, a module that cannot be established in 3 months with innovation process, but it's a long process.
Von außerhalb. Sie haben einmal formuliert, dass Ihre
So, Mr. Sturm, you said that your IT strategy is about excel and explore. So improving and spurring innovation at the same time. So how does cooperation with other automotive manufacturers help you? Well, thank you for your invitation. I'm glad to be here. Also thanks to technology, I can join you remotely. And I can only support the statements of the other speakers. Of course, there is no polarity anymore. We need to have all functions in software and invest in all of them. It's a transformation that concerns everybody. Excel and Explore, that's our company module. This is vital for our company, a company that has been around since the early days of car making. And the software share of our products is very high. Mobility is vital, and our company strategy is about a next generation mobility that includes all the aspects of interconnectivity, electrifying shared modules, and that supports all these ideas. And we need to include them into ecosystem, and our module is about optimizing the current status, and this is what we do on a steady basis. Explore means that we need to find new ways, and these are these two types of company modules. It's not an IT strategy, but it's two types of models that we need to connect. Now, talking about IT, we need to talk about IT and making it available to everybody. So that's what it's all about. And of course, the pandemic. Last year, we have experienced a huge boost with regards to all these types of work, new types of work, new mechanisms. So what we need to do now is we are at the very beginning. Of course, we have gained speed last year, but still the industry is in the very early days of transformation. So I don't want to talk about these aspects way too long. So Excel and Explore. Maybe I wanted to just explain this concept. Mr. Ulrich, I think digital transformation is a vital aspect for Porsche. And now with Volkswagen at your back, I think you have a strong back. Can you talk about the platforms that Porsche will try to use in the future also with regards to Volkswagen? So this is exactly this type of platform thinking is a paradigm shift. So large companies like Bosch or Volkswagen Volkswagen, we have 1,500, 2,000 different applications. Every software works on its own, and with this platform idea, we have an opportunity to interconnect them and to share data. So this is a huge lever to use a platform to use data together, to stay interconnected, and to have a completely different basis to create solutions. From my point of view, it's vital to boost collaborations. So collaboration between people and machines, they need to be improved. A nice example in manufacturing, for example, 2.5 years ago, we started an initiative, Digital Production Platform. MHP plays a vital role in this. So we work together closely. Of course, collaboration is very important to give life to this platform. And we collaborate in all departments of the Volkswagen group, and up to 40 plants could be connected to this platform. Earlier, we would have taken 20 years to connect them to one platform. So this platform thinking is completely different, giving us completely different opportunities. Being interconnected with suppliers is also growing in importance. By optimizing these structures, I can streamline the supply chain, and that's important. We use platforms for all finance processes in collaboration, which means the daily life, daily work from working from home, working with others. A platform can help us to communicate in a whole different way. So a general collaboration tool helps us to communicate with a client as well. So the client can seamlessly be integrated in terms of retail, or if they just have a test drive, or if they go to the Porsche Museum, they experience the same thing, the same idea. And also the vehicle itself is an important platform, the vehicle platform, so that we provide services in the vehicle that a few years ago you couldn't have imagined. So we have a clear platform strategy, away from insular softwares with an integrated platform. And that's a very nice thing. With a modularization, we can have a decentralized development process, but still use these synergies with different plants. And you are very flexible and can adapt quite quickly. If you have a large legacy system that takes years to shift, I need a different solution where I can act quickly, where marginalization, with collaboration with China, these need to be included here in a platform strategy.
Jetzt haben wir ja diese Panel-Diskussion unter dem
Namen
Game Changer zusammengefasst.
Called this panel discussion Game Changer. So what's different now? Game changers, we experienced some in the future, but how would you deem this game changer now? Well, I do think there are different perceptions that lead to a game changer. We talk about this one example a lot. A cloud, Catena X. Those are heading into the right direction. Earlier, Porsche, ZF, Daimler, they had the same software. They have developed the same type of software. We think in man days, 500 man days, for example. This is what we paid. And everybody worked on the same topic. And today, it's different. It's even boosted by the government. Catena X, for example. This remarketing. Bosch does it. It's not marketing differentiating. They are refinancing it. And that's a huge game changer. And how is this possible? It's because we have a platform and a different architecture.
Das Thema ist ja dann Cloud im Prinzip.
Cloud is the root of all these solutions. Of course, these huge players, Amazon, Microsoft, they are boosting this development.
Ich glaube, das hat schon ein game-changing potential.
And I think this has a huge potential to change the game.
Gibt es ja nicht.
I mean, there are not so many game changers. I mean, so many people say, well, this is a game changer, but maybe SMS or WhatsApp, those were game changers. WhatsApp, they killed SMS basically. Just one solution.
Aber dann eben dazu geführt.
But that led to the death of SMS. But I think this type of thinking and the potential to escalate here can be put into the public. I mean, 20 years ago, you would have a floppy disk from ZF to Zuffenhausen, with one software on it. I mean, the young colleagues won't even know what a floppy disk is.
Ja, genau, ja, genau. Das erkläre ich dann.
I will explain later what a floppy disk is.
So, und jetzt durch die Technologie stelle ich das in Amazon.
Now with Amazon, a new technology sales point, and you pay licenses, and I think that's a game changer. It's one aspect.
Vielleicht noch einen Gedanken anschließen wollen, warum ich
I would like to add something to that, why I'm convinced that this is a game changer. Because the investment costs decrease significantly. What I mean with that, if Porsche wanted to cooperate with Bosch or CF, we had different data models. The cooperation was not clear. So it's a huge IT project where the outcome is not clear. Since now I have a clear architecture, clear data models, I reduce the transaction costs massively, and it's absolutely easier that our companies, for instance, cooperate, but also it's easier to work outside of my domain with smaller companies. And an innovation like this can be brought faster to the market. And I think this change, on the one hand in the system architecture, but also in the approach, in the cooperation or collaboration models, can be game-changing or might be game-changing. Yes, but the clear result, we talk about change management here, this was the previous question, game-changing means that this change also needs to happen in the mindset, because I have different collaboration options now, and I'm absolutely convinced. You talked about the bearers or beacons of hope. We will only be able to solve the big problems of the world if we collaborate, and this is why we need platforms and tools, and this is the reason why we talk about this now, because we can tackle these problems then. Mr. Sturm wanted to say something about that. Yes, I just wanted to say something about the game-changing aspect, so actually two aspects I wanted to add. The process chains remain in the industry sector. For us as Tier 1 supplier, this is also true for Bosch maybe, like it is true for us at CF. We deliver to all big OEMs worldwide. And 2 or 3 years ago, we all said, game-changing, well, come to my cloud and we can optimize process chains. Now, due to the approaches like Container X, we bring it to networks, we bring it to interoperable data structures, etc. And this, indeed, is a game changer because it reduces complexity. For me, in my everyday work, it was like that in the morning, I talked about industrial cloud with Mr. Ulbricht in the Volkswagen Group, and in the afternoon we talked about with BMW about the opening manufacturing cloud platform. So with Cortena X, within the process chain and supply chain in the automotive industry, it will be brought to the next level. But on the other hand, I see another aspect. The game changer actually comes also along with interconnected mobility, where different industry sectors are connected. Think about urban or modal mobility or traffic systems. Without platform economy, this wouldn't be feasible. And this will be make a huge contribution to decarbonization, to all the megatrends that have to be solved in megacities. And the cloud-based solutions and smart cities with smart mobility, this makes a big step forward. And without platforms, this is absolutely not feasible. So the platforms will be game-changing and bring us forward. Mr. Sturm has already mentioned that new collaboration models and technologies. Mr. Bankulai, in the industry sector, there is still the not invented here syndrome that could not be overcome. How do you tackle that? Well, from my point of view, this is a leadership task. It is a task to have this outside-in blick. So to go out there on purpose and take a look at what others are doing. Also together with others in the industry, but also outside of the industry sector, and to ask, for instance, someone in the hotel business, how do they do that? So this must be driven from the leadership, pushed from the leadership. If we have a problem, let's take a look at others. Maybe someone in another industry sector might have solved that. And we need to push that as a mindset to, well, keep an eye on that. And this is not easy. It's not only a DIY approach like, well, 20-person days and that's no problem, it's developed overnight, but then you have a lot of maintenance costs. So leadership says, first step is, has someone else solved that? Can I buy it? And maybe I can cooperate with someone if there is no solution yet. So like Container X or Gaia X. And only if we answered all three questions with no, then I have to do it on my own. And this is our core business. We need to differentiate. But to have kind of a system behind that you can follow. And you need to bring that into the teams. We need a early warning system. What we do with our plans is the following. We do not only pay tribute to the plans that bring or push innovation, but also who adapt solutions from other plans. And if you make that transparent, then you see different options as well. We all strive for a kind of reward or appreciation. And if this happens, then this is also a big motivator. Yes, we also have to unfortunately talk about the pandemic. Mr. Sturm, especially in the past year, in the past 18 months, we saw that due to the pandemic, the supply chains came into focus as well. Resilience is key. So digital platforms might also help to reduce future crises? Yes, of course. The basic prerequisite for resilience is a consistent transparency. So forward-looking or upstream and downstream throughout the complete supply chain. To recognize events right away. Supply chain interruptions. If transport means are blocked or are restricted in their quantity or in the material supply at the moment, especially due to the semiconductor supply. So these are the weak spots. You have to recognize them, identify them very quickly. And within a company, you can tackle that very well, but throughout the complete supply chain, we are highly interconnected. So you have to react quickly here, and you need to do that proactively so that you can tackle it, because otherwise the whole system piles up, so to say. And then at the end of the day, nevertheless, when you identify different problems in different areas, then you need to optimize the supply chain quickly and also adapt the production volumes. But these are then topics beyond the company limits, and with Container X, for instance, we can also make a contribution to that. So visibility, for instance, this is the foundation for being able to map a lot of use cases, CO2 footprint, recycling economy, and resilience, reusability. So in the pandemic and all the consequences, we saw that. But other issues as well that we see as social challenges. CO2 footprint, as I've mentioned before, or supply chain act. So these are things that go beyond the own company unit. But approaches like Catena X is something that we will see in other industry sectors as well, I'm sure of that. So we interconnect information as well, and we need that to improve resilience and to improve the performance of the overall system. And this also reduces costs or increases the performance in many aspects. And this is what the technology is there for. Together with our partners, we need to tap the opportunities. So I absolutely agree that this is a question of mindset and leadership to embark a new path in general. And at the end of the day, we can tackle the big challenges that we all are facing. The climate change is a fact. We have to do whatever is possible to push decarbonization forward in mobility, in the way we are producing. And we need to make our contribution, and we need to adapt small things as well, so that we have in the future a digital twin of all our processes, and then we can use that to really adapt the real processes when they are ongoing. So this is what we are striving for. So we have the technology here, and we also heard that here in this group. And the broad opinion is that the German economy has a high innovative power. But why is it the case today that with disruptive technologies we have to, or we always are looking at Silicon Valley and do not stay in our country? Mr. Hoffmann, maybe this is a question for you. Well, I hardly see any developments with regard to innovations in Germany or in Europe. So I don't talk about biotech or biochemistry, but in the digitization, I don't know about that. Well, the big player in Germany is SAP in this area, and Berlin as a startup location, this might be relevant, but when you see what comes from the US, so all the different forms here, what we are based on, what the industry is relying on, that's the infrastructure platform. Well, in the Western world, there are three: Amazon, Microsoft, and a bit lagging behind, this is my personal opinion, Google. And then we come to the special areas, you know, and they have a massive power. We see them everywhere, wherever you go. If you want to build a plant, they're there. Microsoft, that's the same. I don't know of any European company, or don't speak of German companies, who are doing that. And in the social media area, the picture is the same. This is just my humble opinion. But I think we have a huge issue there, yes. But back to, well, the cloud initiative Gaia-X. What do you think are the chances here? Well, this goes into the right direction, you know. When you say we have to collaborate on this level, on the European level, to say, yes, we collaborate. I think it's as important as the symbolic character or the statement to say, yes, we want to shape something actively. Gaia-X is very technological, and it creates the basis. So with Catena X, it's the same, but this is just my personal opinion, that we say, okay, we have to collaborate, otherwise we won't be successful. Because today we cannot only have the European perspective here in our companies. That's not possible. And I mean, we have competitors, and it has nothing to do with Europe, the US. We want to have competition. We need players, more players in the field.
Aus meiner Sicht ist es aber so, dass wir
But from my point of view, we don't see a disadvantage with regard to innovative power. We see a lot of innovations that are also created here that are then marketed in the US. MP3 is a good example. It was developed here, but not brought on the market. So this is key here. In Europe, we have kind of an evolutionary approach, but we need to take more risks, and this is changing. You feel that when you are in Berlin, we are also there, and we see innovations that are generated there, and this is remarkable and overwhelming. So we are on the right track, and now we need to be more willing to take risks, and then I think we will catch up soon. I don't think this is a problem of the innovativeness or of the ability to innovate. We have many ideas. That's not the problem. The problem is to scale them. And this brings us to the willingness to take risks and to exploration, because one of the strong points that we saw in Silicon Valley and in Asia is the willingness to explore topics. I have an idea, could work out, I try it without having a 5 or 10 years plan, without having the support of a big organization. I just try it, and if it works, then I scale it slowly, and then at the end of the day, I see a big scalability. And this is what's lacking here. We have a different kind of, well, evaluation method here. If I need to build a plant or not, this is a big investment, but if I launch an app, I mean, this is done very quickly. And this is something that we need to change, but we have the ability to innovate. We need to develop the ability to scale that. This is the big challenge from my point of view. Mr. Sturm, what's your opinion on that? Well, on the one hand, we are successful, or many companies in Germany are successful because they are globally successful. So anyway, we have to adapt to all ecosystems in the world. So the question, if we also need a European hyperscaler, I don't know about that. So with this Gaia X approach, this might establish itself in the field. But what we do in our companies, or what we need in our companies, is that we are interoperable. Apart from the American hyperscalers that Mr. Hoffmann has just mentioned, we have also comparable approaches in China, and they are also powerful. And this is one of our most important markets, so we also have to adapt to that. So considering that, I think that we need to take care that we, in Europe, we do not only focus on the details too much. We also have to consider the global interconnection. And this is exactly the approach that we see in the platform economy that needs to work on a more abstract level with regard to the infrastructures. And what has to run on what kind of infrastructure, this is something that we need to detail out technically, but it's good to take a look at the West, to the US, but we also have to take a look at what is happening in Asia and China. And Gaia X is another framework, and it's now in our hands to make it powerful. Cortana X is only just one initiative. And the established hyperscalers are also part of it. And Mr. Ulbrich, the industrial cloud approach or the other approaches, we will see synergies in all these frameworks. This is my prognosis.
Würde ich gern auch noch eine Frage aus dem Publikum stellen.
I would like to ask one question from the audience. We do not have time for all the questions from the audience, but just one to Mr. Ulrich. What would be your recommendation to the young guys? I would say I'm also one of them. Well, how to establish in the world of a platform world. So to have kind of a USP. So as an employee, maybe, this is the question, or as an entrepreneur, as an employee, okay, how to position yourself as an employee. Well, the most important point is to understand architecture, modularization as well, to tackle the basics. And then from my point of view, artificial intelligence is the future. That will run on the platform, or is already running on the platform. So as a young guy wanting to work in digitalization, I would say artificial intelligence, this is something that you need to tackle. I think that's key, that's the main game changer after the platform. Artificial intelligence.
Okay. Und dann hätte ich noch eine weitere Frage.
And another question to Mr. Bankulai.
Themen wie Gaia X,
We heard about Container X, Gaia X and other platforms. These are often very dynamic topics. How can you keep an overview? What's the status quo? I think you need to be curious. And this is, or adds or supplements to what Mr. Ulbricht said. You want to learn. So it's not like learning one programming language, one algorithm, and then I'm settled. No. Actually, you need the ability to adapt very quickly to new things, and then always to be curious about what's happening on the market in Asia, in Europe, in America. That was a nice final statement. Thank you very much to the panel. This was a very interesting contribution, and I think it was also very interesting for the audience. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sturm, and goodbye. Thank you.